Let's start it off with Unit 2 Collecting Banker. We have completed the basic meaning. Okay, who is a collecting banker? We have discussed about the duties and responsibilities of a collecting banker as well in the previous classes. So today we'll be moving on towards the rights of collecting banker and statutory protection of collecting banker. Two topics we'll be discussing today. The three basic rights of collecting banker. Number one, right of collecting banker to charge back or refund. Now, what is the banker charging back or refunding? Okay. Now, in case, example, a collecting banker has made provisional settlement with its customer for an item or for, let's say, a check or an instrument, and fail by reason of dishonor, suspension of payment, etc., the bank may revoke the settlement given given to the customer, and it will charge back. So in real life, if you want to understand this right of a banker, let's put this example across. Okay, now I have given a check for collection to my banker, okay, Canara Bank, rupees 10,000. Okay, now banker, this check I have received from let's say SBI Bank. Okay, but I have an account in Canara Bank, but I have received a check from SBI Bank. Got it? So I give it to my Canara Bank. Now what my banker does is, my banker is a collecting banker, correct? He has to collect that 10,000 rupees from SBI Bank. SBI Bank acts as who? It acts as the paying banker. Now in this example, when this Canara Bank, that is my collecting banker, even before it can honor the check, okay, that it is sending the check to SBI, it pays me off 10,000. Got my point? It pays me off 10,000 even before collecting it from SBI. So I am happy, I got the money, okay, done, customer is done. Now, Canara Bank in a later point of time will send that same check for collection to SBI Bank. Now, what happens after it reaches SBI Bank is the check gets dishonored. Remember last class we discussed what is check dishonor, or what is the meaning of check getting bounced. Okay, so my check is getting dishonored in SBI Bank. Now, will my Canara Bank receive 10,000 from SBI? No, it will not receive because the check has got dishonored. Clear? Now, did the bank receive any amount on the base on the check? It did not receive. So, what action will Canara Bank take? Whatever 10,000 it has given me or charged to me, it will refund it or take it back. Okay, it is the absolute right of the collecting banker to charge back or refund. So whatever 10,000 it had credited in my account, it can debit it. Clear to all of you? So the banker can take back that 10,000 amount of rupees. Why? Only reason is it did not receive the same amount from SBI Bank. Clear? Next, we have right of item by collecting banker. Now here a collecting banker returns an item when it is sent or delivered to the bank's customer towards instruction. Now if there is an item that as a customer, if I am a customer of Canara Bank, if somebody is giving me a particular check or particular instrument in my name, okay, so according to the instructions, the collecting banker has the right over that item or right over that financial instrument to be delivered or sent to me. Who am I? The customer of the bank. Clear? If then anything that comes in my name, the banker has to deliver it to me or inform me or send it to me. Third right is to charge back or unaffected in certain cases. Now, in case a banker keeps a line of credit open, okay, previous use of credit given for the item or failure by any bank to exercise with care or respect to the item. That means if there is any, function such as line of credit open towards the customer, but the customer has not utilized it, or the customer has used it for the fraudulent purpose, etc., then the banker can charge back in such cases. Okay, the line of credit can be charged back in case the customer is not exercising with respect to the item or an instrument. Clear? These are the three different rights of a collecting banker. Next, we have statutory protection of a collecting banker. Now, when I say the word statutory, that means it is by law, okay, by the government. Who is the person or which is the institution that is governing all these commercial banks? It is Reserve Bank of India. Clear? RBI is the head bank over all the commercial banks. So, RBI has given certain protection or statutory protection to whom? To all the collecting banker. Let's look at it. Number one, good faith without negligence. So, when does a collecting banker receive protection from the law or receive protection from RBI? When the collecting banker does his operations in good faith without negligence. Good faith means what? Honestly. If a banker is given certain duties or certain activities done on behalf of the customer, he must do it honestly. He must not fraud, cheat on the customer or cheat on certain individual, but he must do his work with good faith. That means he must be honest, okay, without any intention of fraudulent activities, okay, or without negligence. That's why we already discussed last time, right? The duties or responsibilities is he has to check whenever the banker gets a check leaf. He has to check all the details: signature, date, amount in words, amount in figures, right? The title of the check. Everything has to be done very, very carefully. He cannot just be negligent, check just one thing and ignore the other three. No, he has to do it in good faith. So, when the banker performs his duties in good faith without negligence, then in such cases the banker will receive statutory protection. Collection for customer. Remember, when will the banker receive statutory protection? When he is doing all these collecting activities not for himself but for the customer or on behalf of the customer. Okay, so only when is rendering the service to a customer, so that customer can be individual, customer can be an institution, customer can be a minor, anybody, right? If he is collecting on behalf of the customer, then he will receive statutory protection. Number three, acts as an agent. Okay, in order to get statutory protection, he must receive the payment or collect the payment on behalf of the customer as an agent. Okay, as an agent. If I give the check to the bank must not act as he is the owner of the check. Is bank the owner of the check? No. Customer is the owner of the check. Banker is just rendering his services. That's it. He is not owning my deposit. He is not owning my check. Clear? So, banker has to act as an agent, not as an independent owner of my deposit as or owner of the check leaf. He is just an agent for the customer. So, when does banker receive statutory protection? when he receives the payment or collects the payment as the agent of customer and not as a holder under independent title. Fourth, crossed check. Now, we all know what is a check, right? And we also know what are the different types of check. There is bearer check, there is a cross check, right? There's so many types. Now, when will they receive protection? Only during crossed check. Okay. What about in a bearer check? Will a bank receive protection under a bearer check? No, banker will not receive any kind of protection if it is a bearer check. So for those who do not know the difference between what is a cross check and what is a bearer check, here is an example. What you see on the screen on the top, can you see that two lines that has been crossed on the top left side of the check? Can you see that? Right? Two red lines. That is called as a crossed check. So in that check, they've written the name Ankit Sharma. Now, when this guy, okay, Ankit Sharma, a customer of HDFC Bank, goes and shows it towards his bank, he cannot encash the check in the cash counter. What do you mean by encashing? You show the check and they give you the money. That is called as encashing the check. I'll repeat it. If you show the check in the counter, they will give you the money written on the check. That is called as encashing of check. What is crediting the check when it is a cross check means? When this guy Ankit Sharma is going to show the check to in the bank will not give him cash. But then how will it give or how will it encash it? The bank will credit how much is the amount in the check? 37,000 rupees directly to his account. Got my point? When it is an open check, okay, let's say those two lines on the top is not there, okay, then he can encash it in the counter itself. In case those lines are there, what will happen? Cash immediately will not be paid, but then the entire 37,000 rupees amount will go to his account. And when can Ankit use this amount? He can use that amount from his account. He can withdraw it, he can transfer it, he can use ATM facilities, etc. Clear? That's the concept of cross check. Now here there's another check down called as a bearer check. Can you take a good look at it? Right? Are there two lines crossed on the left top border? No. There's nothing crossed, there's nothing. There just the details are given. Okay. So here, can you see that word that I've highlighted? Or bearer. What do you mean by bearer? Whoever bears the check. Now in case, now here let's say it is paid to Srivastav. Okay. Now this guy Srivastav, he has to get encashed how much? 9,000 rupees. Now let's say this guy has lost this check. Okay, in the road or somewhere he has just lost the check. Somebody else has picked up his check. Now, can that thief who has picked up his check or robbed his check, can he go to the bank and encash it? Yes, he can encash it because the check clearly says, can you read that last word which I have underlined? Or bearer. That means whoever is holding the check or whoever is bearing the check, they get the amount returned in the check. No, so that thief or robber, whoever has taken the check, can go to his respective bank and directly take 9,000 rupees. The banker has no right to question, are you Srivastav or are you not Srivastav? Who are you? The bank cannot question. Clear? That is the meaning of bearer check. Whoever bears it, they can encash it. But if you're going to do it as a cross check, then only the person named in the check can get the amount. Clear to all of you? Only the person named in the account will get credited. Okay? If a certain thief or a robber finds a crossed check, can he go and encash it? Absolutely not. Okay? Once the check is crossed, they cannot encash it in the counter. Is that clear to all of you? So hope you have understood what is a cross check and what is a bearer check. So in real life, ma'am, which is in practice? In practice, only cross check, because we know what is the danger of bearer check. In case you lose it, the money is completely gone to a stranger. Therefore, people only use crossed check, because using a bearer check is an absolute danger. So when can they receive statutory protection? When the banker acts in good faith without negligence, collection for customer, acts as an agent, and crossed check. Now, there are two more concepts last. Number one is holder for value. When does a banker call himself as holder for value? If the banker gives the value of the check to the customer before collecting the proceeds. You remember in the starting of the class I mentioned to you an example. Okay, I am a Canara Bank account holder and I get the check of SBI Bank. So I go to Canara Bank, submit my check leaf, and Canara Bank, before it is collecting the proceeds from SBI, it will pay me the money in the check leaf. Okay. Once Canara Bank pays me 10,000 rupees, the check amount, let's say it's 10,000, he pays me that amount. Okay. Then banker becomes the owner of the check. It's no more acting as an agent for me, but then banker becomes the owner of the check. So in such an example, the banker becomes what? Holder for value. So automatically the banker becomes the owner for that check. Next is holder in due course. What does holder in due course means? This is what generally happens, okay? Banker must have received the check in good faith and before maturity date, knowing that there was no defect existed. So this is what happens in normal course of business. I go to the bank, I give the check to the banker. Okay, so let's say the check is dated on June 1st. Okay, so any check, the validity date is within 3 months. Okay, any check, the validity date is 3 months. If the date I have written on the check is 1st June 2021, for the next 3 months, I can anytime encash the check. Got it? Now, today, that is June 28th, is the time open? Yes, I still have time to encash the check. So I go to the bank, submit my check, and the banker receives that check in what? Good faith. The banker must not receive the check in order to cheat the customer. He must receive it in good faith and before maturity date. Has the date matured by today? Absolutely not. The date is not yet matured and there is no defect existing in my check leaf. Neither there is any mistake in the date, amount, signature, figures, words, etc. It's absolutely correct check. Clear? In such a case, the banker is called as holder in due course. Why in due course? Because the money is yet to be encashed or the money is yet to be credited to my account. Okay. Therefore, there is still a time of 2 more months to be the check to be encashed. In such an example, the banker is called as holder in due course. Got it? Hope you have understood today's topics, the rights of the banker, statutory protection of collecting banker, okay, the difference between a crossed check and a bearer check, and holder for value, holder in due course. So with this, we complete our second unit called as collecting banker.